Hello friends, here I am with next part of this story. I hope you all like the video and subscribe to my channel. So let's start the video with summary. Okay, you saw once where Naruto is the son of Hades, Artemis, Apollo or a made-up god. But what if he is the son of the forger and is the champion of goddess of intelligence? What will be his role? Protector, trainer, hero, Naruto x harem, slight Aphrodite bashing, guilty hero. Chapter 3, Demigod Reunion and Overprotective Brother. When Percy and Naruto walked out the tent, the blonde-haired boy was stopped by Annabeth. When he was in the tent, Annabeth was holding in a lot of emotion, mainly wanting to see if that was really Naruto and hug her big brother to death. Now she got the chance and she's not gonna waste it. Is that you, Naruto? Is it really you? She asked. Naruto smiled at the girl and rubbed her head. Yeah, it's me, little Annie, Naruto said affectionately. The girl finally let her emotions go and hugged him to death, tears streaming. Percy looked shocked. In the 2 or 3 years he knew Annabeth, he knew that she is a strong girl and would never show emotions like this to anyone. Plus, he felt something uncomfortable in his chest when he saw the two hugging like this. Gods, Naruto, Annabeth croaked out, burying her head in his shoulder. What happened? Everyone thought you were dead. Many things, Annie, Naruto said, looking at her gray orbs. I'll tell you and Thalia-chan when we get back to camp and settle in. At that, Annabeth conceded and hugged him harder. I miss you, Naruto, I missed you too, little Annie. When this was happening, the hunters and Percy was looking at Thalia as she approached the boy. Annabeth moved aside and the two stared at one another. Hey Thalia-chan, Naruto said warmly. I miss you as well. And just like that, Thalia slapped Naruto. You idiot. Thalia yelled, tears streaming in her eyes. Where were you? Why didn't you contact us? We all thought you died. Naruto sighed, a bit of guilt inside him. I had to do some things, Thalia-chan, Naruto sighed. I was in other places, rescuing other demigods and doing other missions. I'd tell you when we get settled into camp, but trust me, you like what I have to tell you. And won't leave you guys again, I promise you that. Naruto was taken by surprise when Thalia gave him a powerful hug. It only lasted a few seconds when she pulled back, a light blush on her face. Percy was shocked at this. Thalia liked never physical affection, until now. Who is this guy? After a few minutes, a bright light approached them. Artemis lifted her arm up to protect her eyes and everyone else turned their eyes away. When the light dimmed, the gathered demigods and hunters saw a young man with sandy blonde hair, next to a red convertible Maserati Spider. The man was grinning brightly, until he caught the sight of Naruto. The smile fell and Apollo glared at him like he's the bastard Orion. Naruto groaned. Why did Apollo hate him? Hey Artie, what is he doing here? Apollo said in a not-so-cheerful voice. Artemis sighed. When is Apollo going to get that Naruto is not Orion? Naruto helped me with defeating the Manticore, Apollo. Also, Naruto will be going with the hunters and the 5 demigods so you will not harm him. Apollo looked like he wanted to argue, but kept his mouth shut. Now, I will be going to hunt down the Bane of Olympus. You won't harm Naruto again or else. She left the threat hanging with a warning glance. After she left, Apollo started glare at Naruto. Don't think because art is on your good book, means that I have to be nice to you, Apollo growled at him. Again, why do you hate me? Naruto asked, staring back at him just as fiercely. Because if it's about Artemis being friends with me, then get over it, I'm not Orion. Artemis is not supposed to be friends with men, she swore on the sticks. Apollo snapped back at him. Naruto is really getting irritated at his overprotectiveness. No, Artemis swore not to lose her virginity. Naruto retorted. She didn't swear that couldn't make friends with a male. Also, it isn't her choice of who she will make friends with, it's her. So back off, Apollo. Apollo looked he was about to say something, but stopped himself and went to talk to Percy and Thalia, who were looking at the scene in shock, along with the other demigods. The only who aren't are the hunters, since they saw this before. Naruto walked in the forest, away from the others, before making a whistling tune. He waited for a moment before a snowy white owl came from the forest and landed on his shoulder. You see, being a champion of Athena has its benefit. For example, You can summon any owl whenever you want. Your brain can process things faster than it usually does. You can come up with battle strategy with a blink in the eye and like a child of Athena, and you have eidetic memory. So Naruto remembers everything from when he was 13 to the present. I need you to watch Artemis, Naruto said to the owl. Make sure she's okay. If something happens, report to me as quick as you can. The owl nodded and flew in the night sky. After the owl left, Naruto went back with the others. The bus. After an argument from Apollo, Naruto is now on the front wheel to save Thalia from driving. See, when Naruto was with Annabeth, Luke, and Thalia, he found out that the daughter of Zeus is afraid of heights. He found that out when they had to jump off a high-story cliff. While he was driving, the demigods are talking in the back. Okay, spill it, Percy said demanded. How do you guys know Naruto? When did you meet? The son of Poseidon wanted answer and he gonna get it now, Annabeth sighed. Percy isn't gonna let it go, so she might as well tell him. Okay Percy, we'll tell you. She finally conceded, with Thalia nodding in agreement. Thalia started first. Okay, you know that me, Annabeth, and Luke were fighting together before went to Camp Half-Blood, right? Percy nodded. Well, what we didn't tell you was that Naruto was with us too. He helped us survive most of the monsters we've encountered. Annabeth nodded. Yeah. He found me first at Washington, D.C. He protected from monsters and kept me safe. She looked down on the floor, a tear falling down from her face. He was like a big brother to me. She don't want to mention that she have a crush on him. Thalia started again. Then, a few months later, he ran into me and Luke when he was fighting the Minotaur. So for months it was me, Luke, Annabeth, and Naruto. Thalia then looked at Naruto, her eyes filled with gratitude and a bit of admiration. He also saved my life, she whispered. Flashback. Thalia, Luke, Annabeth, Grover and Naruto are running from a group of monsters. The monsters consist of hellhounds, Cyclops, the three Furies, and many more. The group kept running and running until one of the Furies, Alecto, used her whip to grab Thalia's ankle and pull her down. The others stopped running and saw what happening. Now, kill her, Alecto screeched to her sisters. The other two got their claws and went for the kill. Thalia tried to claw away the whip desperately, but it no good. Alecto got a good grip on her. She saw the two Furies descending on her and she closed her eyes, waiting for the pain. She waited for a minute, then two. Finally, she opened her eyes to see why she doesn't feel any pain when she saw Naruto with his axe in hand and golden dust. If you think you're gonna kill my friend, think again. Naruto growled out to Alecto, then turned to Grover. Grover, grab Thalia now. I'll catch up to you. Grover looked like he was about to argue, but one stern look from Naruto got him to pick up Thalia and run with Luke, who was holding Annabeth to keep her going to Naruto. Thalia and Annabeth tried to struggle under the demigod and the satyr's grip, but didn't have the strength to do it and could only watch hear what's happening. Naruto looked at the army of monsters. There was no fear, no hesitation in his eyes. Just pure determination. To protect his friends, even it meant his death. So without a word, he charged at the army. He swung his axe at the leg of a Cyclops, causing it to fall down on a group of hounds. After that hellhound after hellhound jumped up to chop the shoulder of another Cyclops. He dodged a claw from Alecto, then swung his axe down on a snake. He kept chopping monster after monster until Alecto whipped on the leg, making him mist in pain and fall down. Naruto looked toward the group, to see they're at the edge of the camp. Annabeth is crying, trying to reach him, while in Luke's arm and Thalia is weakly doing the same. But most of her stamina is gone and she got an injury to the leg, meaning that she couldn't run to him. Naruto heard a cackle, making him turn to Alecto and the horde of remaining monsters. Any last word, Demigod? Alecto said with a smirk. Naruto smirked back, making a lot of monsters uneasy. Just one, Hirashin. Naruto disappeared in a flash of yellow, only to appear in front of the camp border. The monsters were confused for a moment, then head keep falling off, bodies separating, and limbs getting capacitated. All the monsters were gone, including Alecto, Annabeth, Thalia, Luke, and Grover stare at the scene in shock. Naruto walked over to the borderline of Camp Half-Blood and put a silver box on a tree. Suddenly, a shield erupted from it, surrounding the camp and its border. It stopped once it reached the end. Flashback ended. From then on, we used that tree to protect Camp Half-Blood, Thalia said. It made out of godly energy and ichor, courtesy of Hephaestus. It burned up monsters into oblivion if they ever tried to enter. Percy looked at Naruto with different emotion, from shock to a little admiration. The teen protected his friends from certain death, the risk of his own death. He made a wall of fire that protected the demigods for many years. But he's still got one more question. If he was a camp, where was he for the 2 years I was a camp? Annabeth was about to answer, until they felt a rumble on the bus. The demigods and hunters looked around the bus, until they felt another rumble. Suddenly, they heard an explosion at the left side of them and some let out a scream of surprise fear. What the heck? Naruto yelled. He looked in the rearview mirror to see a large white bird behind them. On the bird is a man with blonde hair, made into a ponytail. Bangs on his right eye while the left got makeup under it. He's wearing a robe that Naruto is all too familiar with. The Akatsuki. Naruto hissed out. He then saw the blonde-haired man throw something and Naruto maneuver away from it, just in time to see it explode. Who is that, Whiskers? Thalia yelled out from her seat. Naruto dodged another of those bombs and gave her the quick version. He is one of the Akatsuki. A S-rank ninja from my world. They're extremely dangerous and their goals are to collect all of the tailed beasts. He moved away from another bomb, making a few people scream. Thalia clutched her seat tightly, her phobia acting up while others hang on to dear life. Hang on, people. Naruto called out. Naruto then flipped a switch, making the bus change into something else. The bus shape turned circular, wings spread out of the sides. The inside changed as well and the front changed into a pilot seat. The front slowly turned sharp and 2 windows spread on top. The color also changed into black. The bus changed into a jet. Naruto fly the jet up in fluid over the bird. He then went behind and got 2 guns out of the bottom. Okay birdie, eat bronze bullets. Naruto started shooting, but the man came prepared. He sent out tons of spiders, protecting him and his ride from the bullets. The blonde then turned around and sent out dozens of birds. Naruto shoot them easily, but the man kept sending more and more. Naruto gritted his teeth in frustration and turned to the others. Jackson, Annabeth, I need you two to control the guns while I drive. The 2 didn't argue and did just that. The son of Poseidon and the daughter of Athena went to the co-pilot seat and started shooting bird after bird, making them explode. Naruto then opened a red button and a missile shot out from the cargo hold. The man's eyes widened and he moved away, but it was too late. The rocket exploded and the man was forced to retreat from his ride. Naruto then sighed in relief. They lost the Akatsuki member, that's good. Naruto turned around to see a lot of people looking at him. That was awesome. Nico shouted out and Percy was in agreement, although many tried to stop their heart from racing after that experience, Thalia especially. Naruto chuckled and flew the rest of the way. But something tells him that it wasn't the last time he saw the man. He should prepare when he get back to camp. Right now, he should enjoy the flight and get to Southern Island soon. And Chapter 4, Naruto at camp. As soon as Soul landed on the ground, Thalia quickly got out and on the ground, hyperventilating. Her phobia acted up real badly in there. She had never been that scared in her life. Everyone else got out slower than her, but some were ruffled up because of that flight. Annabeth and Percy had to carry unconscious and foaming Grover. They got 2 demigods to carry the satyr so they could go to the big house to inform Chiron about what happened. When all of the demigods went in, the hunters to their cabin to settle in, they spotted Chiron and Mr. D playing their usual card game. Chiron spotted the demigods and smiled, but when his eyes landed on Naruto, his eyes widened and his jaws dropped. And Naruto? Chiron said in shock. At the sight of him, Mr. D also got wide eyes and dropped his Diet Coke can. Naruto smiled at the centaur and waved, "Hey Chiron, long time no see." In the blink of an eye, Naruto got pulled by a bone-breaking hug. "Naruto, my boy. I thought you were dead." Chiron said, his eyes misty. He let go of Naruto, giving the blonde some time to breathe after that hug. "Not dead, Chiron. Just injured. Had to heal up before I could come back," Naruto said. Chiron nodded in understanding. From the quest Naruto took, he was bound to get greatly injured. But where had the blonde been for the past 5 years? Behind Percy, Mr. D slowly went to Naruto, holding that shock expression. Naruto saw the god and reach under the cloak, getting dozens cans of Coke. "By the way, here's your special Coke, Mr. D," Naruto said, passing a Coke can to him. Mr. D opened it with shaky hands and took one careful sip before he did something that shocked all the demigods in the room. He cried, hard, and hugged Naruto just as hard. "It's you. It's really you." Dionysus sobbed, holding the blonde tightly. "Only one person can make this Coke. Only one person who can make that taste." Meanwhile, Percy was opening and closing his mouth in shock. Thalia was taking a picture of this, Annabeth was staring at the scene with wide eyes, and Bianca and Nico was staring at the scene with bewilderment. Chiron was shaking his head in amusement. Only Naruto can make Mr. D like that. Naruto, while still being hugged, was slowly turning blue and losing oxygen. Dionysus finally noticed what he was doing and let go of the blonde and disappeared with the Coke. Everyone blinked for a bit before Chiron spoke up. "Well, moving on then?" He then turned to Bianca and Nico, "Seeing two new demigods here, I assume you completed the mission?" "Yeah, about that," Percy began. "What's wrong?" Chiron asked. Percy was about to speak, but Naruto beat him. "I'm training Bianca to be a shinobi." Naruto said, "I saw potential in her and decided that she could be trained. So she is being trained to become a shinobi." Chiron said, "I can see no better training, especially since she's being trained by Naruto." "But Percy," Chiron interjected calmly, "you need to learn that there are many paths that can be taken. Bianca chose her own path." Percy sighed. He should stop taking it so personally after that. They informed Chiron about their quest. By the end, Chiron was frowning. "Well, this is troubling news," Chiron said, "but it's best to leave this in Artemis's hand. Hunting is in her nature. Now, let's talk about one more thing." Chiron turned to Naruto, "Should I gather the counselors so you can explain where you went?" Naruto nodded. Chiron got up and galloped out of the big house, to get the other counselors, leaving the demigods over here. 18 minutes later, Naruto was showing Bianca the different kind of weapons shinobi use. Grover is playing Mythomagic with Nico, and Annabeth and Thalia talked to Percy about their past adventure with Naruto. Speaking of which, Percy doesn't know what to think about the blonde. On one hand, Annabeth, Grover, Chiron, and Thalia are friends with the blonde. On the other hand, he nearly crushed his jaws when they first met. But now, he's a lot friendlier. Can the blonde be trusted, or is he like Luke? His thoughts were interrupted when he heard the door open. He turned in time to see Selena and Katie jump on Naruto and hug him just as hard as Dionysus had. "Naruto." "Okay, who doesn't know the blonde?" Naruto hugged the girls back with equal force. Seeing the blonde again made them cry in his shoulders, but the blonde just whispered to them and comforted them. They haven't seen him for years, just like the others. "Hey girls, I miss you," Naruto said in a warm voice. That only made the girls cry harder until they got off of him. Naruto turned to the door to see Charles, Clarice, and the Stolls. "Charles, it'd been a long time," Naruto said, shaking the black man's hand firmly. Charles shook his hand just as firmly and smiled at his stepbrother. That it had Naruto. "The whole camp misses you." It was true. When he was injured, the whole camp was in a state of depression thinking that he was dead. The ones that were hit the most were Annabeth, Thalia, Grover, Clarice, Katie, Selena, Charles, the Stolls, and Dionysus. Annabeth hardened her emotion during those times, Thalia did as well. Grover kept losing confidence over the years, Clarice hid under a tough girl attitude, Katie focused on growing strawberries and rarely did anything else, Selena cried in her pillow during the nights, Charles focused on most of Naruto's project to honor his brother, the Stolls hid their depression with pranks, and Dionysus tried to drink himself out of depression, which barely worked. Naruto flinched a little, but recovered. "Well, I'm here now and I'm not planning on getting injured again or killed anytime soon. That's a promise." Charles smiled at that. If Naruto make a promise, he does his best to keep it, no matter what. The blonde then turned to the sons of Hermes and grinned. "Hey Travis. Hey Connor. Have you done any pranks lately?" The Stolls grinned and gave him a list of pranks they did. Naruto looked at them and laughed when he read half the page. "You are real geniuses, you two. Perhaps when I settle down here, we can start planning together." The stoles hop up and down excitedly. Naruto told them stories of his achievement. He once painted his village national monument, in full view, wearing a orange kill me jumpsuit, just to put salt on the wound. So they have a right to admire the blonde. To be working with him, is any prankster's dream. All of the demigods that knew of the stoles and Naruto reputation felt shivers up their spine. The only one who didn't know is Percy, Nico, and Bianca. Naruto then turned to Clarice and walked to her. Clarice walked to him as well. Finally, when they got to arm's length, Clarice let her emotions control her a little and hugged the blonde, a few tears coming out. "I miss you, Whiskers," Clarice said. Naruto smiled and hugged her back. Only Thalia and Clarice ever call him Whiskers. "Miss you too, Clary-chan." Naruto responded back. Clarice's heart fluttered, hearing her name again. In the background, Percy's jaws dropped. This week is becoming more shocking, and he's seeing something that he thought he would never see. Clarice hugging and showing emotion. After that intimate, Clarice let go and glared at everyone. "If any one of you ever mention this, I'll cut your private parts and hang them on my wall." Many of them pale and cover their precious parts, except Naruto, Annabeth, Charles, and Thalia. "I see you got that henge on," Naruto said, grinning. Clarice smiled and enveloped herself in a puff of smoke. When the smoke cleared, Percy's jaws dropped. Clarice was not the burly girl he saw. In her place, was a girl with crimson red hair, heart-shaped face, and a more cute but strong figure, and heart-purple eyes. Naruto grinned at her, making the girl blush. During those years, she used this disguise so no guy would try to take advantage of her, especially her siblings, since they would try to rape her even if they're siblings. She also turned into a tough girl, so she would gain respect from everyone. Now, she doesn't have to use the henge anymore. Naruto then turned to everyone. "Now let's get this meeting started." A few minutes later, after everyone settled in and took their seat, Percy asked a question he'd been wondering about. "How do you know everyone over here?" Percy asked. "Simple. I rescued and trained every one of them," Naruto said, "while the demigods, except the D'Angelo siblings, pull out their shinobi headband to prove it. I rescued all of them from abusive parents, monsters, or human problems and trained them so they can defend themselves. Some were more impatient than others." He gave a pointed look to Annabeth, making the blonde smile sheepishly. Annabeth learned to throw and fight with a knife. Thalia learned sword fighting and electric abilities. Luke and the Stoles learned tracking and stealth. Selena learned knife fighting and hand-to-hand combat. Clarice learned wrestling and fighting with the spear along with some earth abilities. Charles learned to forge weapons and axe wielding as well. Katie learned some plant abilities, and I taught Grover some martial arts ability along with increases tracking skills. Percy jaws dropped. That's a lot of abilities. Then, Percy got 2 questions. "When did they been trained and what kind of abilities do you have?" Naruto smiled wryly at that. "I trained them when we were young and will fully train them when I'm settled in," Naruto said. "As for my abilities, I can do all elemental attacks, mastered every weapon, perfected my tracking and stealth skill, and learned every jutsu known in my world. I also got eidetic memories and the power to talk to owls, as well as an increased thinking capacity and fast reflexes." Percy's got wide eyes at that. Again, this week is full of surprises. Before he could ask anything else, Thalia beat him to it. "Okay, now my questions. Where were you for the past years?" "The camp has been in a state of depression ever since you left." Most of the counselors nodded at that and looked at Naruto expectantly. "I've been healing my wounds," Naruto said, showing the wound. Everyone gasped and Grover fainted on the spot. On Naruto's chest is a 2-foot-long scar that is close to his waist. The wound needed serious attention and that wasn't the only injury. "After that, I've been doing jobs for Athena, rescuing demigods and killing monsters, including Arachne." Everyone gasped and Annabeth whimpered in fear. Arachne is well known to the demigods, especially Athena's cabin. "Speaking of demigods, Thalia, will need to talk to you." Thalia looked curious and nodded. "Okay, any more questions?" Charles raised his hands. "Yeah, when will you train us?" Charles asked everyone silent question. "Tomorrow, starting in the morning," Naruto said. Then grinned evilly at everyone. "Be warned though, if you think my training on the road is bad, then prepare for the torture I will unleash on you." Many people shivered and some whimpered. Naruto's training is the worst. you would come out with better training, but with a lot of aching muscles. They're in for torture tomorrow. Annabeth asked the next question. How do you know the hunters? I met them at California, when I was rescuing a few women from a bunch of rapists, Naruto said. They were impressed with me, especially since I brutally killed those bastards. How did you kill them? Clarice asked, eager to hear. Naruto smirked and showed all of them a picture. The men paled when they saw the picture while the women gave Naruto cheers and smile. Since then I've been working with the hunters and Artemis, rescuing of the demigods, Naruto said. I also taught them that not all men are bad. One more question, Thalia said. Are you gonna stay here? Naruto smiled, answering her question. Yeah, Thalia-chan, I'm staying, Naruto said. Thalia beamed before Chiron walked over to the counselor and stomped his hooves to get their attention. Okay, now that all the questions are answered, Chiron started. We're gonna play a game of capture the flag, but we don't have in Percy. Chiron interrupted. It's a friendly game we play when the hunters come here. Yeah, real friendly, Thalia muttered. Naruto smirked. So we'll be playing against the hunters, Naruto said. Excellent. I've been meaning to test the hunters' skills and try out some new weapons. Everyone that knew Naruto either grinned or shivered. Naruto is a beast when it comes to fighting. Some of them started pitying the hunters. They're going to face the toughest challenge ever. Outside, after everyone left, Naruto led Thalia to the forest, with Annabeth, Percy, and Grover behind him. During the walk, Naruto had been attracting stares from the other campers, whispers, and blushes. The campers are all surprised to see Naruto, and the girls who didn't know them either had blushes or nosebleeds. After a few minutes of walking, Naruto stopped and turned to Thalia. Okay, Thalia, before I tell you anything, I need you to swear on the sticks you won't overreact and do something rash, okay? Thalia looked suspicious, but did as he told, so did the others. Okay, Thalia, remember when you told me about your brother? Thalia nodded, but looked confused. Percy's eyes widened. Thalia has a brother? Where is he? Well, I found him, alive and safe. He's not dead, Thalia, Naruto said, making Thalia's eyes widen. Thalia didn't say anything, just stare at Naruto with wide eyes. Then after 5 minutes, she asked in a shaky voice, he's alive? Yes, he is, Naruto said, then his tone turned somber, but I can't tell you where he's at. Before Thalia could yell at him, Naruto stopped her and finished. The reason I can't tell is because Zeus made me swear on the sticks that I wouldn't tell the location. It was supposed to be a secret, but I found out by accident. So now, Zeus made me swear not to tell the location. Thalia was quiet for a few minutes. Finally, she reluctantly nodded at the blonde's words. Then, without warning, hugged Naruto and cried on his shoulder. Naruto did nothing but hold her. You better be telling the truth, Whiskers, Thalia said quietly, her tears still streaming. Her brother is alive, her brother is safe, and there will be nothing to stop her from going to him. I hope you all liked the video, and if you all want the next part of this video, please like the video and comment 3 hearts. Please subscribe to my channel so whenever I upload a video you will notify.